I don't know. After reading up and kind of researching a little bit more, I didn't read the original novel, but I think if I read the original novel, honestly, I would have hated this movie.
Oh, really?
They're very different.
There is a woman carrying something that looks like a pick with a chain and a mallet in it.
What's up, YouTube? Drive-By Movies here, and you are watching
Fresh releases.
My name is James.
My name's Blaze.
And today we're checking out the film that is still in theaters, but also just recently hit Peacock, A Knock at the Cabin.
The four of us are here to prevent the apocalypse. Your family has been chosen to make a horrible decision. If you fail to choose, the world will end.
While vacationing, a girl and her parents are taken hostage by armed strangers who demand that the family make a choice to avert the apocalypse. So this film is brand new to Peacock, as you said. It's M. Night Shyamalan's it was pretty hyped, this movie, because it's based on a novel that was fairly popular, and M. Night Shyamalan's, taking another stab at a kind of an adaptation. I know his last film, Old, was also an adaptation because that was a graphic novel originally. But anyways, James, what'd you think of this movie?
So yeah, I know M. Night Shyamalan's kind of been making rounds with like he's back and better than ever again, or like back to his old roots and stuff. I didn't get that feel with Split because I know a lot of people like Split, and I somewhat enjoyed Glass. Like, I thought it was entertaining for what it was, but I never got around to seeing Old. And with this movie, I say he's back, honestly. There's a lot I didn't like about this movie, but I was just so captivated by the performances and M. Night Shyamalan's direction, work with cinematography in this movie. It's just stunning. I was just mesmerized. Like, granted, it could have been what I smoked before the movie, but I just couldn't keep my eyes off the camera. It was a really beautiful movie. I do have quite a lot of complaints, but like overall though, it was just like, I was really enjoying it. Great performances and really enjoyed the story. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I was pretty much in the same boat. I really enjoyed this movie, aside from the ending, in the sense that I feel like it goes too much to like a happy place or something, and maybe isn't as melancholic as it needs. I mean, it's slightly melancholic, but I feel like, I don't know, after reading up and kind of researching a little bit more, I didn't read the original novel, but I think if I read the original novel, honestly, I would have hated this movie.
Oh, really?
They're very different, like shockingly different. We'll get into it a little bit later, but yeah, the feature film, like in the novel, they could not do things that they did. Like, you couldn't do it. You can do it in a book. That's fine, because it really, like a book, people spend time with it. They have to like sit with each and every action that's taken. In a movie, your audience has to all agree for 90 minutes to take the full ride. Mm-hmm. That's a lot harder to do. So a lot of the choices that were made in the novel really were, the punches were really thrown. But when it comes to, doing that on the big screen, I think M. Night Shyamalan took kind of a different approach, which works for a movie. But I feel like if you're a fan of this novel, there's no way that this movie is going to work for you.
Oh, that's disappointing to hear, because I'm very curious how it like compares to the novel. I'm not familiar with anything about it. Sorry, I'll probably never get around to reading it. Nothing against reading and stuff, but it's just something amongst the huge list of movies and other books like I need to catch up on that. Like someday, maybe I'll get into it. But yeah, I'm curious to hear what the differences are. But yeah, 100% agree. One of my biggest complaints was the ending. Like, the movie's great, but it just didn't stick that landing, I felt. Almost was right. Like, everything could have happened the same way, but just cut out that last 5 minutes. Could have just ended with, just, kind of spoilers. Like, I'm not going to spoil like too much, but just like with them leaving the cabin and then just like kind of going into the unknown, not knowing, the events of what just transcribed from all this craziness at the cabin and what to expect once they leave it and stuff. That would have been an interesting, Twilight Zone-esque ending or something. And this episode or this movie, M. Night Shyamalan has always been inspired by the Twilight Zone. A lot of his movies make great Twilight Zone episodes, but just kind of stretched out in a 90-minute movie. But yeah, I thought like a lot of it worked well. Just some stuff that didn't work well for me also was just the use of flashbacks. Like I understood it kind of gave more character development to our main characters and stuff, but kind of felt like it was unnecessary, especially with the sequences involving the actor Rupert Grint and stuff. Like there's a kind of a whole flashback backstory with that where just like we didn't really need that and stuff. Like I would have liked just like kind of just hearing the turmoil and just like maybe that is the guy. We didn't actually need to physically see it on screen. The performances were so great. The dialogue was great within the real-time events with everything. They should have just kept it within those sequences and just stretched out some of those sequences just because I was enjoying those so much. But other than that though, those are like kind of my main complaints: the ending and just unnecessary flashback sequences just to kind of elongate the movie, because the movie's 100 minutes. Cut that out, it's probably 90 minutes, and I feel like the movie still would have been just fine without some of those flashbacks.
Yeah, I think that I'm assuming the book, I know the screenplay for sure, it's just a great writing exercise of keeping it all contained in one place. I think the flashbacks really detract from that, and I agree with you. It is a little bit longer with the flashbacks. If you were to take them out, you're probably going to hit that sweet spot. So I totally agree with you there. I really enjoyed it really taking place in just this one isolated somewhat location. Yeah, they do flip on the television to see, events unfolding, but those obviously progress the story, but also at the same time, have this weight of, is what we're seeing on TV real? Is this something that maybe you guys figured out a way to change the television or something? So it really adds that kind of hysteria and like paranoia that the characters are facing, while also still making them open their eyes to be like, is this actually real? So I really enjoyed all those aspects. The flashbacks just, it kind of doesn't do it for me. And I totally agree with you on that one. That's definitely a gripe that I kind of had. Aside from that, honestly, the performances are really the greatest thing about this movie. It was fun seeing Dave Bautista in, Blade Runner as this performance, and M. Night Shyamalan has come out and said that was the reason he cast Dave Bautista in this. I'm not really sure what the character Leonard is like in the book. I know that he's a younger character, and obviously he's older in the film in this, so maybe that character changed from the adaptation from the book to the movie, but just what he brings to his presence that he brings to the screen and brings to this performance of Leonard is really brooding and almost like philosophical at times, and it's a very interesting character, and I'm excited to see like what the future has in store for Dave Bautista. Through the projects that he's had, he's always seemed to metamorphosize himself into like this character, even though he has like such a specific type. He seemed like he has a specific typecast, yet he seems like he's almost trying to make sure that he can't fit into a box.
Right, yeah, he kind of has that action superhero star to him, and of course that's makes sense why he kind of had the physical aspects in Blade Runner 2049, despite that still requiring a big like acting chunk to it. But movies like Zack Snyder's zombie movie Army of the Dead, I remember, like he fits that role being the action hero stuff, but there was still a lot of like father-daughter moments within that movie. But it's nice to see a movie like this where he's supposed to be a physical person to be reckoned with, but that's overall not his only character arc and stuff too. So it translates very well, and I can see him easily being in other movies and stuff too, where it's just like an interesting dramatic role and stuff. And when we were talking about the performances, like everyone really brings it, with the exception of kind of the younger girl who has a son. Nothing against her acting. I think it was more just the writing. I think M. Night Shyamalan's just not great at writing for millennials, because she was a little too hipstery at times and was like, I'm the quirky girl who's trying to be funny in between like, a very dramatic kidnapping-esque home invasion sequence and stuff. So, that part kind of like didn't blend as well and stuff too, but that was more on the writing, I'd say. But other than that, though, just one last gripe, though, like the tsunami scene, like how did the news get that footage? That phone is buried deep underwater. Like, maybe they screen grabbed it when it was like live on Instagram or Facebook, but you mean to tell me that they screen recorded it, then like cut out the user's name on the top left corner and the viewers and comments on the side and stuff, and aired it in perfect HD quality screen and stuff. And they were shooting, like 1920 by by 1080 by 1920 like angle. You know, they weren't like no, like come on, they could have figured that out a little bit better, and that was just driving me crazy. But that's, you know, just more like us being like kind of videographers and stuff.
I think that's an M. Night Shyamalanism though. Like that he always, in all of his films, there's always just something that makes absolutely no sense to like the normal person, but I feel like you need to be inside the Shyamalan brain to really understand what's going on. And for us regular viewers, we kind of just gotta let it go. Just take, just you know, you can get as pissed as you want, but at the end of the day, like, yeah, there might be a part of you where it really gripes and it might ruin the film, but that's just M. Night Shyamalanism. For me, it was in his last film, Old, where the film continues to go on for another 20 and 30 minutes. And you're just like, why are we telling the story from this perspective? It makes no sense. It's so weird. It wasn't such small specific detail, but that was just a huge one where like the film should have been over here. And this is like a weird perspective that's almost from another movie from another dimension.
Now I kind of want to check it out though, just to see, but also I don't want to be disappointed and stuff. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's really just the performances that really make this movie, and also the fun, quaint, claustrophobic feeling of being trapped in this cabin, despite it being a big cabin and everything. You know, there's also a lot of sequences within the woods too, but just, you know, really captures that great feeling of isolation and claustrophobia. You know, one of my favorite movies of all time, The Thing and stuff, while it's a completely different style movie, you know, brings in just that sense of dread and just like, you know, anxiety driven with the performances and just like its plot synopsis and stuff too. Yeah, like I'm not really like a religious person, but I really enjoyed just like, you know, whether or not it's just like end of the world or religious related and stuff. And there's a lot of like questions throughout it. Just make it really interesting and fun to watch.
Definitely. Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. I think if you have Peacock or if you didn't catch it in theaters, that's another way you can watch it. Definitely check out this movie. It's worth the while, and hopefully M. Night Shyamalan keeps, you know, following this forward and upward trajectory, because I don't want to see another happening.
Yeah, definitely not. But, you know, I hear that's making quite the cult rounds these days and stuff too. Maybe I need to rewatch it as like a cult fan and stuff, but I don't know though. That was pretty rough that first time seeing it. But yeah, what are your thoughts on Knock on the Cabin? It's streaming on Peacock. You can also rent it through our Amazon affiliate link in our description box below. That's a great way to help support the show, and also by just leaving a comment telling us what you thought about the movie and what to check out next.
And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and click that notification bell to get all of our latest updates.
And if you can't get enough of us on here on YouTube, be sure to check us out on our social media links down below for Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, as well as our own Letterboxd accounts. That'll conclude this week's episode. Tune in next week for a brand new video.